Happy Wednesday! If doing everything yourself were a promotion strategy, then most of us would be CEOs by breakfast. Today, we're going to turn delegation into development without letting anyone down. I'm going to walk you through a simple 4-step handoff loop so that you can let go right away. Executive presence is not about heroics, it's about building others up. Let's get you out of the weeds and back to your real work. Welcome to the Lead with Spark podcast, the show where real women lead with authenticity, show up with presence, and live out their purpose. I'm Lynsey Mulder, speaker, C-suite executive, family gal, travel junkie, and a firm believer that your leadership starts from within. Around here, we go beyond the fluff. We talk about the real stuff no one teaches you in leadership training. Your values, your superpower strengths, boundaries to stop burnout, and how to quit being the chaos coordinator of your own life. Whether you're building a business, leading a team, or just trying to stop feeling stuck in the daily grind, this is your space to get clear, get aligned, and finally lead with confidence. So let's cut the noise and reconnect with the spark that makes you, you. Let's go get our spark on. Have you ever thought, oh, it'll be easier if I just do it myself? That's how capable leaders get stuck. Delegation isn't dumping tasks, it's designing growth. When you delegate well, you multiply capacity, you develop and elevate people, and you signal that calm confidence that we call executive presence. Quick story. When I first moved from individual contributor to leader, delegation felt very awkward. Yesterday's peers were suddenly today's direct reports. The relationship had changed, or the hierarchical structure, but inside my feelings hadn't. I didn't want to come off as telling my friends what to do. So I wore that superhero cape all the time. My calendar was packed, my inbox was overflowing, my adrenaline and stress levels were sky high. My team was grateful, they kind of felt left out, and they absolutely felt stuck. The day that I stopped owning everything and started coaching outcomes, 3 things happened. My team leveled up, I got my sanity back, and finally, I was able to do the job that I was paid to do. This method works at work and at home because leadership is leadership. Whether you're talking about launching project plans or you're talking about dinner and laundry, here's the loop that you can start using this week. Select, scope, support, and spotlight. Let's make this easy to picture. Use the classic Eisenhower lens when we talk about selecting. The Eisenhower model, envision this. Did you ever play Foursquare on the playground? It's as simple as that. It's a big box that then has a cross in the middle, so now you've got 4 squares. On one axis, you have urgency, and on the other axis, you have importance. As you look at your daily to-dos and the things that you've got coming up that you need to accomplish, you're simply putting each of those on the graph. How urgent is it and how important is it? That helps you to determine the items that you can actually delegate. You're going to ask 2 simple questions about the task. Is it urgent? And is it important for my role? If it's urgent but not truly important for your role, that's a prime opportunity for a handoff. Someone else can execute it quickly, and you can stay focused on leader-level work. If it's important, but it's not urgent, well, that's development gold. Delegate that and then coach and mentor them, giving them room where they can grow into more strategic work. If it's both urgent and important, you'll likely have to keep it, or you'll find a co-pilot, somebody that's almost ready to take that on, but you know that they need a little hand-holding and you want to be part of the decision. And honestly, if it's not urgent or important at all, batch it, release it. You don't even need to do it. Just let it go. Picture a deck that's coming up that you need to have done. The first draft is really important, but it's not urgent. You've got that big meeting. You know that your team is behind you. This is an opportunity that's perfect for development. Somebody in your team can own that first pass while you coach them on how to make it final and excellent. Or think about a time when you knew that you wanted to do a cross-functional team event. Maybe you've got one coming up next quarter. It's not urgent, but it's really, really important. Hand it to a rising star and let them stretch into plans and influence. Pass it off to them and delegate them, knowing that they'll be able to do it. At home, use that same logic. Weekly meal planning is urgent because for crazy reasons, they all want to eat every single day, but it's not leader level important for you. Give one of the kids or your husband that kitchen CEO badge for the week. Hey, you come up with 5 dinners within our budget, maybe 2 vegetable sides, whatever. If you feel like you want to review it and make sure it's okay, great. Otherwise, just move forward with what they put in place. Either way, we're not tossing out chores. We're matching the work to the right level so people can build real capacity. And to my individual contributors listening, you can absolutely delegate without a team. Pair with a peer who wants to learn more about your tools, or ask an intern if they will be willing to prep data while you work on the analysis, or even swap tasks with someone so that each of you can play to your strengths, doing the things that you love to do and you know that you're amazing at doing. Delegation isn't just a title, it's a mindset. Then we move on to scoping, where we give it a clear and kind overview so that no one has to feel like they're reading your mind. Delegation usually falls into 2 predictable ways. That drive-by where somebody says, hey, can you just? And you're like, wait a minute, I don't know what you're talking about. Or abdication where somebody walks by and says, hey, it's all yours, good luck. And we feel like instead of being delegated to, we just got something that's not so great and we're definitely not sure we're going to succeed. When we delegate, we want to be very clear, crystal clear, and kind. Think of a quick overview that you can talk about even in just a minute. It can be that short. You want to think about, why does this matter? What does done look like? How will we measure success? Like what guardrails are in place around budget, brand, or the must-haves? Who will decide what? What resources should we borrow? Who should be engaged? When is that first deliverable due and what's the date? And then plan a few quick check-ins on the calendar. It's focusing in on those key elements of why, what, how, who, when. If you think about those elements in regards to scope, we then have outlined a very clear picture of what we're delegating, why it's so important, and how to actually get started on the task. At home, you can do the same thing. Why is it important? Because when we have our dinners planned out, we have a much calmer evening. A 5-meal plan and shopping list by Sunday, that gives you your deliverable. Do it under budget. There, you've talked about your guardrails. You can get started by digging through the recipe folder or even a grocery app. And if you give it to me by Saturday, I'll make sure that everything's fine and we'll be ready to roll for next week. It can happen at home just like it happens at work. This clarity and this scope lowers anxiety and speeds up good decisions. It also keeps excellence intact because excellence is defined up front. So when we've selected the tasks and now we've scoped it out and given an overview, our role becomes to support. And that's basically coaching and mentoring without micromanagement. I like to think of it as tight, loose, tight. Tight at the start to align on the target. That's when we're giving the overview. Then loose in the middle so that they can truly own the how of getting it done. And then tight again at the end to land the quality and validate that we're providing excellence. You can actually say this out loud so that the expectations are clear. For this first draft, I would recommend that you put the information together, bring it back to me, and I'll give the final okay. Then next quarter, you can decide, put the draft together, You'll understand the expectations by then, and so you just need to keep me informed. That allows people to move from training wheels to that solo ride on purpose. And if you feel your micromanagement fingers starting to twitch, ask yourself, is the risk real? Or is this just my discomfort with letting go and being controlling? If it's just discomfort, breathe through it. Let them drive. Know that you trust them and that they're going to do the best job that they can possibly do. But if quality does start to wobble, I want you to go back to the overview, not their character. Go back to that who, what, why, when, how, the expectations that you set, and make sure that the alignment is on point. Don't just jump to their character. Usually it looks something like, hey, we're just missing an element. And you can ask them what their plan is to work on that particular piece and move forward. Open the doors so that if they really are stuck, you can ask questions before just telling them what to do. Easy questions like, hey, what options do you see? Or what would you suggest that we try first? Or what have you tried and what do you think a great next step would be? New eyes may actually find a better road to the same destination. And individual contributors, this applies to you too. If you've asked a teammate to help you out, treat them like a partner. Agree on the outcome. Name that first deliverable. Put those check-in points on the calendar so that you can touch base. Support without supervision or micromanagement. The last piece of the loop is spotlight. This is where we want to close the loop, recognize their efforts, and then reflect on how do we help them to move forward. Delegation becomes development when we debrief and we display the wins out loud in public. At work, it could simply be noticing the person's name, giving them credit, and talking about the impact that they did by what they've completed. At home, it can be the same thing. At the dinner table, wow, you picked some great meals this week and you did it under budget. I'm so proud of you. Who wants to be the kitchen CEO next week? After you have recognized their accomplishments, then get with them just to do a reflection. 2 reflection questions come to mind. Both have steep growth opportunities. What did you learn or did you prove? And what will you try different next time? Capture the win in your logs. Be ready to use it in their performance review. They just jumped in where you needed help. Sometimes it's a stretch goal. Sometimes it's pieces of their role that is going to allow them to create new skill sets. You want to have that logged. That recognition fuels repeat behavior, builds up confidence, and positively impacts your culture. That trust that you're building when you recognize people, especially publicly, it's priceless. So why don't we do this? Why don't we delegate? Let's go ahead and name the gremlins so that we can shrink them. Fear of losing control. That's mine. We need to reframe it as changing the control mechanism from, hey, I have to touch everything. I want to provide clear criteria and checkpoints. Or how about perfectionism? I don't want to delegate because no one can do it as well as me. Reframe that as, I want to publish success criteria and make sure that I'm defining what's good enough so that everyone can learn and grow. Or what about speed, where we talked about early on? Oh, I could just do it faster myself. Yeah, you probably could. You probably could do it faster. But we know that delegation builds a system that frees your time up and empowers your team. How about discomfort with former peers? Do you have that one? Remember, you're not bossing them around. You're designing outcomes. You're giving them clear criteria for success in their role, and you're inviting them into ownership on the team. And here's the payoff that you get back. When you delegate, you free yourself up to make a much larger impact. You spend more time on the leader-level priorities that only you can do. Strategy, relationships, decisions, culture. You trade the weeds for the work that changes the corridor. Delegation is just one of the ways that we live intentionally. If your values include family presence, then you delegate so that you can have time to be at your kid's baseball game or be there for the things that are most important to them, knowing the work is getting done at work and you're able to stay true to your value. If your value is excellence, then you define excellence as part of the overview and you coach people to it, building that skill up within themselves. I love designing delegation around superpowers. Keep the work that uses your own genius and delegate work that uses your team or your peers' genius so that everyone is energized. We know when you're doing something within your superpowers, you're more motivated and more excited to do it, which just creates an engaging culture. And how about your non-negotiables, like a device-free dinner or no meetings before 9 o'clock? They become real options when you have a system of delegation in place. You're not being that heroic person carrying your cape and carrying the full load. You're spreading it out among the team, giving them the ability to prove themselves and level up, and giving yourself the ability to stand true to your non-negotiables. You don't need a head count to practice delegation. As I said, you just need initiative and clarity. Ask who wants to learn more about your role. Offer to mentor someone for an hour and see if there's tasks that they're willing to take on. Trade tasks with a peer so that each of you are working in your strength zone. Ask for an intern. They can help you with analysis, data. They love the opportunity to practice real-world work that's going to prepare them for their future. And at home, rotate those roles so that invisible labor isn't invisible anymore. You're not dumping the work, you're sharing growth, and you're teaching your kids how to eventually fly on their own. When they know how to do laundry, take care of their pets, and actually make dinner, they are ready when they get ready to move on to their next phase in life. When my kids were little, someone asked, "What does your mom do?" And my kids would say, "Oh, she just bosses people around all day." They weren't wrong, but they missed the real impact. They missed the fact that I wasn't bossing people around. I was actually delegating tasks to my team because I knew when I delegate, I'm empowering people to learn and grow. I'm handing them ownership of particular areas of the business, which drove their engagement and their satisfaction. What I'm telling them is, hey, you are valued and you belong here. And then I'm freeing myself up to make the difference that I'm here to make. It's better for me and it's better for the team. Here's our micro challenge for the week. Pick one important but not urgent item and delegate it as a development opportunity. Then pick one urgent but not important item and delegate it for efficiency. Give a clear and kind overview and schedule those check-ins along the way because delegation is practicing and you're going to need to get comfortable. And then as they're working on it and they complete it with excellence, close the loop by naming the owner and the outcome in front of other people's. Let their impact shine. And then work with them one-on-one and say, hey, what did you learn? What's your next edge? What should I look for opportunities for your next? Delegation isn't letting go of your standards. It's raising people to meet them. That's real executive presence, calm clarity, strong boundaries, and the courage to build other people up. Lead with clarity, lead with courage, and lead with spark. Hey, I'll see you next Wednesday. Well, that's it for today. Thanks for being here and for doing the work to lead yourself first. If this episode sparked something for you, take a second to subscribe, leave a review, or share it with another woman who's ready to own her leadership. And remember, the way you lead your life is the way you lead everything else. If you or your organization are looking for a speaker, an impactful workshop, or an executive coach, head over to lynseyMolder.com and let's connect. Keep showing up. Keep leading with spark. You got this. I'll see you next time.